Welcome back to Market on Close. Two topics we're going to hit with Mr. Scott Bauer, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. The first is crude, because we're looking at now settlement in futures below $50. Mr. Bauer, does it matter that we broke the level?
Psychologically, it does, because I think what that does, Oliver, it brings some of the pile-on type of trade out there, because that emotional factor really gets baked in now. But you and I have talked about this over the last couple of weeks. I really think this 49-ish level is an area where buyers are going to come in. I don't see a big dip below there unless we get just some completely out-of-the-box number coming up from the API or EIA over the next 2 days, both of which are expecting to actually see further drawdowns like we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it was bouncing around 50, then it broke through. It wasn't a good day. Energy stocks got killed as a result. Scott, is there any clear catalyst for this, or is it just like a weight that's sitting on all risk assets right now?
It is a general market malaise, if that's how you pronounce that word.
Okay, I'll take it.
Global growth slowdown. What's happening to the markets here? I mean, as you know, everyone has their finger on the pulse of the sell button. That is all that's happening. We saw that rally last week on the EIA and API data that came out just get absolutely annihilated and fraught with sellers. That's the environment we're in right now.
Yeah. So there it is, crude. It's pretty rough out there. So, Scott, last thing here is when this continues to sell off, equities continue to sell off, there's concern about the fundamental situation here. If markets have priced economic risk incorrectly here, if it's gotten overdone, then does that mean all these assets will stay highly correlated for the time being? Because it seems like they've been highly correlated on the downside. What about on the upside?
I think the riskier type of assets will hit the market higher first. I think when people start to feel that emotional relief, or if we feel that things are overdone, they're going to start grabbing towards, okay, what's going to get me 20% higher the quickest, rather than, from a fundamental standpoint or more of a long term. So I think the riskier type asset class is what you're going to see people grabbing for first.
Yeah. All right. Hey, speaking of risky type asset classes, we haven't talked Bitcoin in a while. You want to chat some crypto, Mr. B?
Man, oh man, today's the 1 year anniversary, right, of the all-time high. And in all honesty, I think you're seeing some of that emotional trade today in the entire crypto space, not just Bitcoin, but all of the altcoins as well. You're seeing that, the top 10 or 15 of them across the board up 10, 15, 20%. No real catalyst behind it, Oliver, that I see, other than two things. One, today is the 1 year anniversary of that all-time high of Bitcoin. And two, we did dip down to Bitcoin over the weekend right towards the 200-day moving average. For whatever technical measures can be made sense of, we did dip down there. Maybe that was an area that people just said enough's enough for right now, and they just wanted to start piling in.
I think that's interesting, because I saw some of those longer term averages, right, that we basically got right to around the 31, 32-ish that we sold off.
Exactly.
Scott, what will need to happen for this chart to look like anything other than basically this massive bubble explosion, right? I mean, at a certain point, the NASDAQ came back. You look at bubbles that, even some of the pot stuff, right? They exploded. Now some of them are moving sideways. When will we know if this is the type of bubble that comes back, or if this just keeps on going down and down and down?
It's really all going to come down to Main Street adoption. And I'm not talking about the number of users or the number of accounts. I'm talking about Main Street adoption, that everyday Main Street America or Main Street people across the world can start using it. What is Bitcoin really going to be used for? What is the Ethereum platform really going to be used for? We've talked about how the blockchain platform is very useful. It makes sense. But until it's really adopted into everyday lifestyle, I don't know what is going to be that catalyst. Maybe the catalyst becomes, whether it's in a month, 6 months, or maybe never, the SEC finally allowing an ETF. Maybe that's the catalyst. But, the dream of Bitcoin and cryptos has been squashed. And unless we see it really starting to have some useful application, it's going to be a long road.
As you mentioned, this correlation, big moves in EOS today, Ethereum up as well. There's a pretty interesting report, because I like the way you brought up that there needs to be real activity, right? There's I don't know if you follow the guys over at that website, The Block, Mike Dudas and team, and they put together a report on how Ethereum usage, the wallet count has actually gone up, but usage has gone way down. So
huge.
Yeah, to me, it's like
Yep.
a lot of this stuff, you don't really know basically where the sell-off is going to end. And if the correlations remain strong, that to me has just been the most important thing to look at. It seems very simple, but so far it's worked.
No question about it. And most people don't look at that because it's such an emotional trade. Now, you look at the volume, just the sheer volume today, and even at the CME today, under 4,000 futures, or under 4,000 contracts today. Not a very busy day. So when you look overall, and you look to downside moves and upside moves, and you like to see some volume behind it to really know that, you know, there could be something to it, it's not there on these moves in the cryptos.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Scott, we're going to leave it right there for now. Great stuff. Mr. Bauer, a little pop there to closer to 3,600 as we speak in BTC. Scott,
You got it.
always a pleasure. CEO, Prosper
Thank you,
Trading
sir.
Academy. Thank you. All right, keep your head on down there, Scott. It's getting wild. We got